Maribel, and I'm the professor of Family Schools and Child Development at CIEE Madrid campus. On January 2020, we are starting a new program, and Family Schools and Child Development has been the selected subject. And I'm really much looking forward to this opportunity and to have the pleasure of meeting you all for this experience. The best part about this subject is that it helps us to understand the system of families, schools, and child development from a different perspective, not only taking into account the cultural differences, but also it helps us to understand how the different variables affect the outcomes on our development. And I think one of the strengths of this subject is that it doesn't only provide us a theoretical background, but it also allow us to reflect about our own development, how these two variables, families and schools, have shaped our personality, our strengths, our competences, and how we are the best version of ourselves just because of the combination of the system in which we have grown. So I'm really much looking forward, as I say, for this opportunity, and I hope I could guide you through this experience. So see you soon in Madrid.
My favorite part of the class was all of the activities that we did and just how engaging the class was, and I felt like the 3 hours went by really quickly because we always had something planned for each day and for every part of the class.
Me also, my favorite part was our discussions because we were doing all kinds of different kinds of discussions, not just question and answer, but maybe we would be drawing some things out too, or creating some kind of activity for the rest of the class to do.
I think my favorite part of the class was our weekly assignments, where she gave us a prompt and we had to write about it. Because it was more about like our life experiences, and also she connected it to things outside of the classroom. So like last week we had to write a paper on the show Modern Family and just analyze the families within that show and connect it to things that we know. So I like that because it was a way to like bring the academics to like the reality of like what we're talking about.
I really enjoyed the class because I have a little sister who struggles with a major case of OCD, and I've actually had trouble sympathizing with how my parents have raised her, but after taking this class, it gave me a much better understanding for what she deals with, what my parents deal with, and overall child development in general.
I learned more about like the school dynamics in Spain and how they differ from the school systems in the US, and also how they're very similar in terms of like PE requirements, or also like their safety systems. And also like when we visited the school, I got to see how like the teachers interact with the students, which was interesting to see.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite parts about the class also is learning about how the school systems are both similar and different. And we did visit a school, and so there we got to see like how the whole administration was run and how the state looks at the school system and all that stuff. So that was definitely a unique aspect of the class, and that's also unique about learning about family schools and child development in Spain.
My favorite part about family schools? Well, I'd say just the fact that like every class we got to just learn about like we were comparing Spanish schools with American schools, so it was really interesting to see like just the difference and even look at that early section of our lives, because I never really learned about that, you know.
Coming into choosing my class for the second blocks, I really kind of randomly chose because I could only take elective credits, but honestly I'd say that anyone can benefit from this class. Everyone should take it because there's so many things that we don't know about how we develop as people and how children develop in general.
I think a student who has a great interest in child development, or like how school systems work and how all that could tie together and affect like a child, would really like benefit from this class, because they would understand more, and especially like in Spain, how all that is affected.
I think that one of the strengths that Miriam has is that she can fit a class to anyone. So I would really honestly say that I think that this would be good for any student, because there's all different kinds of activities that would engage any type of learner.
I think the type of student that would excel in this class, and the type of student that's good at taking what we talk about and applying it to like real life situations, and also just seeing how what we talk about plays out in the real world, because we talk about like the development of children, and that's something that you obviously see every day, like within whatever society that you're in. So if you're able to take what we learn about and like apply it to things in your everyday life, I think that you'll do well in this class.
I think anyone would enjoy this class. Anyone who has an interest or a passion for learning, or even just is curious. I think this class is applicable to all people with all interests, and so I think, yeah, anyone can.
Any student interested in psychology in general will do well in this class.
I think the type of student that would best fit this class is someone who likes to do activities, likes to not just listen to a lecture, but also be engaged in whatever we're discussing through discussions or activities. And there are all kinds of people in this class, like Sarah said. I'm pre-med and on a more sciencey track, but there's other people who are on history or other tracks, business tracks, that doesn't really relate to psychology at all, but I think the class still fits them.
I feel like the presentations that we did as a group was a time that we learned the most in the class, just because we had to take like learning a topic into our own hands and really focus on a particular topic that we really cared about. So it was a good time to collaborate with other students and also learn a whole new topic and be able to present it to our classmates.
Yeah, so we had a final group project with a couple of our other peers, and we had to pick a topic that that we were interested in that related to the class, to child development. And so, like Sarah said, I think it was a good time to dive into something that you were interested in, because we were able to pick kind of whatever we wanted, as long as it was related to the class. So it was really flexible. So I think that's what I liked most about it.
The presentation projects were a lot funner than the essay homeworks that we had, but because those were really interactive and you got to work in groups, so it wasn't just boring stuff. And everybody did something different, and then we'd present at the end of class, so it was kind of like a fun class whenever you had those.
I thought the assignments were actually a pretty fair representation of what we were doing in class, and it would help us self-reflect on what we were learning in class and actually like put our thoughts and our opinions on whatever assignment it was.
Yeah, I agree. I think that there were just enough assignments where we kept busy, but we weren't overloaded. And then it also was a great way, because we had assignments every week, and so each assignment you were able to reflect on what we learned, that we really internalize the information. So I thought it was just right.
I found the assignments to be very beneficial. Each one touched on a different part of development. But yeah, in general, I really enjoyed the assignments and the stuff we had to watch or read before doing them.
I really appreciated the readings, because we were able to learn a lot about the background and dive deeply into what we were learning, and then it allowed time in class for us to really like talk more about like personal experiences and then do activities in class. So I think that it was just helpful to get the basis of like what we needed to know about like the theory, and then in class we could spend more time doing activities and learning from each other and applying it.
Something that I learned from the readings is how what we are learning in class about child development related to some of the experiences I had in my own life, and I think other people felt the same way, because in class when we had discussions, people would be saying, well, back home I work with children because I'm a babysitter, or I am a lifeguard, or something of the sort, and everybody was able to bring their unique experience. So the readings gave a nice foundation, and then in class we were able to connect to some of the theoretical things that we learned from the readings to our own lives.